Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Daily Drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, as we are just a few days away now to opening kickoff Tar Heels Golden Gophers in Minneapolis, Huntington Bank Stadium, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Got to make sure people know that because it's 7 p.m. out there, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They are in Central Time in Minneapolis. Tar Heels and Golden Gophers rematch from last year. UNC won that game 31-13 in Chapel Hill. Lots of different faces, two different quarterbacks for both teams, so it should be very interesting. A lot of storylines for UNC heading into the game. We are laying all of it out there with daily drops, with written content, stuff on the boards. And if you were not a subscriber to THI, you got to hop on board, man. Just $8.33 a month for a one-year sub. You could be on those boards. You could be having conversations with intelligent, passionate Carolina fans like yourselves, people who know how to spell the players' names, people who know the history of the basketball program and the football program and understand recruiting, and, of course, a ton of recruiting stuff. We've got lots of official visits to cover coming up here in the next couple of months, lots of football players visiting because there's a bunch of home games coming up in September and in October. So you can have access to all that for just $8.33 a month. I will be in Minneapolis Thursday night. I'm actually flying up there Tuesday morning, going a little early to get some stuff done and maybe be a little bit of a regular human being, heading over to Fargo, North Dakota on Tuesday and going through South Dakota. Just kind of be, like I said, be a regular human being. Sometimes got to step back, got to exhale, got to take the foot off the pedal a little bit. Miss Dina King, of course, will be keeping an eye on things. And I'll have this surgically planted right here so I'll know everything that's going on. And I'll actually have my laptop with me too. So I'll always have that in the car just in case. The topic today, Carolina football, with the Tar Heels about to start the season, and a very quick question, a very simple question, rather. And I want you guys to give me your thoughts as well. I want to know what y'all think. What's the range for Carolina's record this season? Worst to best. 0-12 being the worst it could possibly be, 12-0 being the best it could possibly be. We're talking about regular season, of course. Now, they're not going 12-0. That's very, very unlikely. It's more unlikely they go 0-12. They're going to beat Central. They're going to beat Charlotte. And they're going to beat somebody in the league. We don't know for sure. Maybe Wake, win at Duke, beat Pitt at home. Who knows? So what is the range? Let's say the offensive line is not as good as Mac Brown says. Let's say they got quarterback issues. Max Johnson is what some critics say he is and nothing more. I tend to think he's better than that, but let's just say for the sake of discussion. Let's say Connor Harrell's not the answer either. Defensive line just isn't any better. You got a lot of older guys in there that haven't progressed. And there are a couple of injuries. The next thing you know, the Tar Heels are losing close games, and then they start to get into a bit of a rut. What's the worst case scenario for their record this season? Let's look at the schedule. At Minnesota, if the line's not that good and the defensive line doesn't play well that night and they got issues at quarterback, they're not winning that game. Minnesota won 11 games in 2019, finished 10th in the country, won 9-21. They won 9-22. A little bit of a drop-off last year, but it's a good program. Carolina won't win that one. They'll beat Charlotte. They'll beat Central. JMU comes to town. I mean, it could happen. JMU beat UVA a couple years ago in Charlottesville, and I think this Carolina team is better than that UVA team, but still. Okay, let's say you got 3 wins there. That's 3-1. Then it's all ACC the rest of the way. At Duke, dangerous game. Pitt at home. Narduzzi's teams are physical. That's always dangerous for Carolina. Georgia Tech at home. Carolina's lost 3 in a row to them. At UVA, lost at home to UVA last year when they were 6-0. At Florida State, Wake at home. Dave Clawson. Don't need to say anymore. At BC, nasty weather, November 23rd. Stayed at home, lost 3 in a row to them. So the way I painted that picture, man, you got a lot of losses coming up there. What is the worst case scenario? Is it 3-9? Go ahead and take care of Charlotte, Central, and JMU, and then lose out in the league? I don't think this team goes 0-8 in the league. Is it 4-8? They go 1-7 in the league. Where's that win come from? Pitt at home? At Duke? At UVA? At BC maybe? And the skid to Georgia Tech? Is it 5-7, 6-6? What do you think the worst case scenario for this team's record is going to be, assuming the bad things happen? I'm going to go 5-7 and 2-6. I think there's no way they're any worse than that. I think Charlotte, Central, JMU, they're going to win those games. All right? Throw in 2 more. How about Georgia Tech at home, Wake at home? There's your 5-6. That means losses at Duke, Pitt at home, at UVA, at FSU, at BC, and home to State. I think they're going to be better than that anyway, but that to me is the low end. What's the high end? All right. They should win at Minnesota because they're more talented. They're deeper. I think if it's Max Johnson versus Max Brosmer, you got a guy from New Hampshire playing quarterback against a ton of athletes and speed that he has not seen at that level versus a guy that Max says throw 900 passes in the SEC, threw 788, 47 touchdowns, 12 interceptions in the SEC. I think Carolina's got an advantage there. Defensive line may have a little bit of advantage for Minnesota over Carolina. Carolina in the skill positions offensively, significant advantage, although Minnesota's got a very good running back in Darius Taylor. And I think skill on defense behind the defensive line, the back part of the defense, I think Carolina's got an edge there. Carolina should win that game, okay? Close game, should win that game. Charlotte, not a problem. Central, not a problem. JMU may hang around for a little bit. Carolina win that game. 4-0. Go to Duke. I said it before. I'll say it again. And who knows? If Carolina loses at Duke this year, Duke fan will come after me. I covered Duke in football before. Not a ton of passionate Duke fans will actually reach out to you. The basketball ones do. Football ones generally don't. But Mac owns Manny Diaz. So Carolina's 5-0. Pitt at home. Carolina's won 2 in a row against Pitt. And Narduzzi's trying to get that thing back up to where it was, 6-0. And I kind of did this a little bit in a pod the other day, dropped the other day about the fork in the road. So Georgia Tech at home. Carolina should end the 3-game losing streak. 7-0. Carolina at UVA. Should win that game. Who knows what UVA is going to be like by then? It could be reeling late October. Maybe it's inevitable that there's going to be a coaching change. 8-0. Go to Florida State. I don't see a scenario where Carolina wins right now. I don't see that moving forward. So 8-1. Should take care of Wake at home. I think Wake's a little bit on the way down. Up at BC, very tough with the weather. I think BC's going to be better than a lot of people think with Bill O'Brien at coach. Castellanos is a nice player. If he stays healthy, they have a chance to win some games. But Carolina's got more talent, and at that point could be playing for a ton, so there would be no excuse to not be ready. And whatever the weather conditions are like, take care of that. 10-1. Then State comes to town. At some point, Carolina's going to beat them. At some point, they're going to line up at the line of scrimmage and say, you know what? We're not going to get out tough by you guys. We've got a lot of skill, too. Now, I think State's going to be a really good team this year. And I love what Dave Doran's done with that program. He doesn't get enough credit for what he's done with that program. Being consistently good is hard. And he's been able to do that. And he's also won 3-0 against Carolina. But Carolina should beat them at some point. And this year's Carolina team, if they're doing what I'm talking about, should be positioned to beat the Wolfpack. So you're talking about 11-1. So on the surface, 11-1 for this year North Carolina team, that's ridiculous. That sounds insane. Because it does. Because if they had a tougher schedule, that probably wouldn't take place. But they got a pretty easy schedule. They do not play Clemson. They don't play Miami. They don't play Virginia Tech. They don't play SMU. They only have 2 really tough ACC games, and that's at Florida State and NC State at home. So it's conceivable that this Carolina team gets by, wins big, gets by, loses at FSU, gets by. Next thing you know, they're like Louisville last year. I did a drop a couple of days ago about, are they under the radar? Could they be this year's sleeper in the ACC? I think it's very possible. So the range I'm going with is between 5-7 overall, 2-6 in the ACC, to 11-1, 7-1. Now, please understand, I am not predicting that they're going to go 5-7 and 2-6, no more than I'm predicting they're going to go 11-1 and 7-1. I'm saying That's the range. If weird happens in college, weird always happens in college football. There's always teams that end up having seasons that nobody projected. Nobody. Sometimes they're outside the boundaries of these silly little best case, worst case scenario comparisons, which is what I'm doing right now. It's for fun, but it's also to kind of give a little insight of what the schedule might enable them to do or give them an opportunity to do. And also what, if a few things don't go well, schedule's also enough that they're going to have a tough time winning some games. So let us know. What do you think the range is? What's the low end range? What's the high end range? They're going to probably come somewhere right in between that. In between would be 8-4. 8-4, 5-3, something like that. 8-4, 4-4. I would say 8-4, 4-4, 8-4, 5-3, depending on what happens with Minnesota. That's the way I see it. I think 4-4 in the league, 5-3 in the league. Win at Minnesota, chance to go 9-3. I think that would be a good season, depending on how it plays out. But I don't see 5-7. I don't see 11-1. But those are the ranges, if all the stars are aligned accordingly for either to occur. Let us know what you think, guys. Low end, high end. Make sure you go ahead and click like on this video just because I want you to click like on this video. For no other reason, just please click like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel if you have not done that already. Make sure you tell your Carolina friends that we're here. Let them know about us. And also, make sure you hit the notification bell so you get updates every time we upload a video, and you know that that is often. Go look at our channel, scroll around, hit videos, and just keep scrolling. And you know what? Hit videos and just keep scrolling anyway. You're going to see a lot of really interesting stuff. Go back to last basketball season, a lot of interesting stuff then. It'll take you all the way back to 2014. When I started this job, August 1st, 2014. In fact, interviews that day, a couple of videos I shot that day when the football team was getting a team picture with Ryan Switzer doing some Heisman pose stuff. It goes back that far. A lot of cool stuff. So go hang out on the channel for a while. Anyway, I'm AJ, and I thank you very much for stopping by.